This fall, Luke will attend Amherst College in Massachusetts. Our senior class speaker, Luke Herzog.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. I appreciate that. But there's actually one thing you forgot to mention. Not to brag or anything, but out of all the PGHS class of 2019, I was voted most humble. That's right, most humble. I can't say it came as much of a surprise. My humility is off the charts. You think you're humble? You're not. I'm humble. I think it's safe to say that I am the humblest person of my generation, arguably of all time. Now, you may be thinking I'm going to transition into a speech about humility. I'm not. No, I'm going to talk about something I think is equally important: humiliation. Our lives are basically one long parade with toilet paper stuck to our shoes. Mine certainly has been. Age 4, I climbed deep into one of those tunnel mazes at Chuck E. Cheese and couldn't find my way out. Age 9, after barely passing a summer camp swim test, I promptly puked at the feet of the lifeguard. Age 12, middle school recess. I caught a football for just about the only time in my life and got so excited that I plowed over a fellow player. Unfortunately, it was my teammate. Sorry, Jake Haney. Probably just as humiliating for you. Just last year, on a rainy day by the student union, I lost my footing at the top of the hill and began to roll down it. You know how in those old cartoons a character falls down an icy slope and begins to pick up snow until he looks like a giant snowball? My situation was similar, but it was mud. And it was real life. And a huge crowd of students waiting in the lunch line had turned around to stare at me. I tried to play it cool. It's okay, I thought. I can save this right now by saying something clever, witty. But all I could come up with was, wow, slippery. Then again, life is a slippery slope. We seem to draw arbitrary lines for when we think the embarrassment is supposed to stop. In middle school, awkward and pubescent, we thought, well, I'm weird now, but in high school, everything's gonna change. It's a clean slate. I'll reinvent myself. But in high school, let's face it, most of us are awkward and post-pubescent. Even now, as we steer ourselves toward college or the military or the working world, most of us are probably thinking, well, I don't quite have a handle on things now, but as soon as I graduate, everything's gonna change. The truth is, our awkward doesn't disappear overnight. We don't hit a transformational milestone in which our embarrassing quirks or missteps are suddenly wiped away. I'm not saying this to bum everybody out. Quite the opposite, actually. I think it's an optimistic idea. No one is as suave and put together as they appear. We're all in the same boat. We're all still figuring it out. Our parents are all still figuring it out. Embarrassment is inevitable. Sometimes even in what we believe to be moments of triumph. Like at the end of the first act of the first night of my first musical, Les Mis. Everything was going great. It was a very serious, dramatic number. I brandished a wooden rifle above my head, buck-stepped and belted out operatic harmony at the vanguard of an ill-fated French uprising. One day more, then whoosh, the curtain closed. Unfortunately, it closed behind me. The intermission lights blazed to life. The confused audience stared at me, a wide-eyed freshman, clutching my rifle to my chest as if I could hide behind it. As I fumbled for the curtain opening, the audience began to laugh. This was not supposed to be a comedy. I thought, I'm dying. 3 scenes too early. But if there's one message I'd like to impart, it's this. Accept embarrassment. Embrace it. The actions most worth taking are those that risk utter humiliation. And yes, sometimes you fail, you land on your face, you stand up slathered in mud. But other times you turn humiliation into revelation. So on that night, I swiveled, saluted with ridiculous enthusiasm, and marched off stage with my rifle over my shoulder. I found the courage to commit, to shrug and smile, to soldier on. So while other graduation speeches might exhort us to spread our wings, reach for the stars, transform the world, my wish for myself and my classmates is that we go on embarrassing ourselves. At least, that's my humble advice. Thank you.